this video, I'm going to show you how to create the bass sound from the Imanbek remix of the track Roses. Now I believe the original sound used a sample, but here I'm going to show you how to create something similar using FM synthesis using Native Instruments FM8. Alright, so let's create the sound from scratch. In FM8 here, I'm going to click on File and select New Sound, and this is what it sounds like. Alright, I'm going to set the transposition here to -12, so we're an octave below. And before I start designing the sound, in the DAW, I'm going to turn on the saturator here with the drive cranked up to at about 8.5. So this makes the sound a little bit beefier and a bit easier to hear what we're doing as well. Alright, so moving on, let's now take a look at what we can do with the FM synth. So in the operators tab here, we just have this F going to the output. Let's turn on E here by right-clicking on it, and let's make it modulate F at about 30%. I'm also going to change E's ratio. I'm going to set it to 4. So that changes the tonality quite significantly. I'm also now going to turn on D and make D modulate E at 30. I'll leave D at a ratio of 1. Lastly, I'm going to turn on C and make C modulate D also at about 30. I'm going to change C's ratio to 8. So you notice how the sound becomes a lot brighter now. Alright, next we need to tweak the envelopes. So right now the envelopes are all default, gate-like. So let's click on F here and change its shape. I'm going to click and drag and bring it down, kind of give it like a pluck shape. Give it a little bit of release as well. Now I want E to have the same shape, so I'm going to click on the envelopes tab here and then open up the F envelope shape and then click over here to link the two envelopes. So now F and E have the exact same shape. Alright, now D, I'm going to have a similar shape, but I want the initial part of the envelope to have a little bit more emphasis. So I'm going to right click here to create another breakpoint. Now this creates this kind of transient-like shape, and then the rest of it can sustain, and also a little bit of release here. I'm going to turn off the sustain stage, because otherwise then the envelope starts to loop. Now I want C to have the same shape as D, so I'll click on the link button, and now C also has the same shape. Let's also make sure to turn off the sustain on envelope C. I want all the operators to be velocity sensitive, so I'm going to increase the velocity sensitivity over here. I am playing different notes with different velocity, so it might be a good idea to set all of them to have some velocity sensitivity. Alright, now I want to double up the sound with the same sound but going through a filter. So Z over here is a filter, so let's right click and enable it, and let's send it also to the output at the same level of 80. And let's route F through Z at 100%. Alright, so I just want one filter, so I'll set the mix to the left over here. Let's set it to parallel, and let's bring the resonance down. It's in low pass mode here, we leave it at that. And let's bring the cutoff down. Actually, let's disable this for now so we can just focus on the filtered sound here. Now when I bring this cutoff down at about 40, it's barely audible. So we're going to use this envelope to bring the filter cutoff up. So again, similar to before, going to get that pluck-like shape. And let's increase this envelope amount. There we go. Alright, now let's combine this with the unfiltered sound. Alright, so that thickens up the sound a little bit. Okay, now in the operators, these values are good, but they're all whole number values. I'm going to detune them ever so slightly. So let's say F can go down a little bit. B can go up a little bit. Same for D and C. We can even introduce some offset. But you want to be careful to not add too much of an offset, because then the sound can become a bit too out of tune. Alright, now let's go into the effects tab and introduce some effects. Now keep in mind, I already have the saturator in my DAW running, but we can add a few more effects in over here. Let's turn on the overdrive. I don't really need the drive, so I'll bring it down. I'll brighten up the tone by increasing this tone knob. Maybe a little bit of bass. Alright, that's good. Let's add some shelving EQ. Brighten up the highs. And maybe boost some of the lows as well. Alright. Also a peaking EQ. I want to emphasize this high frequency area over here. I'm also going to reduce the Q to make it a bit more narrow. Let's also emphasize the fundamental frequency, somewhere over here, and also reduce its Q to make it a bit more focused. And that is pretty much it. Now, I will be the first to admit that it doesn't sound exactly the same as the original track, but it is still pretty amazing that we can come quite close using FM synthesis. I hope you found this helpful, and please stay tuned for more.